Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's another Brap Rant. You knew this one was coming. You knew this one was going to come as soon as the NPD numbers came out for September. And yeah, look, let's just let's just have an honest conversation about Gears 5 NPD numbers. So why don't we get into it real quick? Well, first I want to say that it's interesting because I think this is like the first month that no one really talked about console sales. As it relates to the big three. I know that Nintendo has taken the top spot for hardware for the 10th month in a row, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Their software, first party, continue to sell very well on their platform. And holy moly, 2K, NBA 2K, became the best selling game of the year within a month. I mean, that game is... Geez, yeah. Metro Shine, what's going on? He says, how long does it take for Gears 5 to download? I don't know, man. I haven't timed it. Have not timed it. So I can't tell you for sure, man. But if you haven't played Gears 5, it's definitely the best Xbox console exclusive, first party exclusive on that platform this console generation. Better than Halo 5. Better than anything they've put out first party. Hands down, the best first party game. So, but yeah, NBA 2K just had a stellar month. I mean, they are printing money, and not only that, we talk about the VC that you can buy, the virtual currency. This thing is just gone gangbusters right now. So, Mysterio, I don't know. Let's see here. Estimation. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe like 10 minutes, around there. I think. Again, that's a guesstimation at best, man. I don't even really know, to be honest with you. Yeah, so I couldn't tell you, man. I'm gonna say 15 minutes. Give yourself 15 minutes for the download. I will say this though: if you have a gaming rig, if you have a capable gaming PC, Gears 5 is the place to experience Gears 5. It is no, it doesn't take hours and hours to download. Gears 5 is just so much better with the higher frame rates. At ultra settings, higher textures. I mean, it's just wow. It's night and day. It really is, guys. It's night and day. But so September well, I can't even talk today. I'm so tired, by the way, guys. I went to DC last night and we stayed the evening down there and woke up like at 6:30 this morning. We do this race every year, which actually was really cool because we the race that we took part of was for Children's Hospital, Washington D.C. And we stayed downtown D.C. close to where this race takes place over at Freedom Plaza. And it's funny as we were walking out of the hotel this morning, and I'm walking outside and I'm walking down the street, and we get to Pennsylvania Avenue, which is Pennsylvania will take you all the way to the U.S. Capitol, ends at kind of where the White House is. And I immediately look over and I see the Willard Continental Hotel, which is a very famous hotel in downtown D.C. It's where Martin Luther King wrote his "I Have a Dream" speech, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow, so we started walking down the street, and give me a sec here, guys. Gotta turn my gain up here a little bit, guys. Sorry about that. All right, so we're walking down the street, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking around. I see the Willard to my left, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm thinking to myself, "Wow, this is the Division Two." And if you haven't played the Division Two, the first mission out of the White House, you're walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. And in my mind, it just starts like clicking, like all the missions, and like, like I'm just imagining myself as the character, my character in Division 2, and I'm thinking, oh my god, like this is just crazy. Like, I'm thinking about all the cars. I mean, there's first of all, there's tons of cars there. There's the W Hotel, there's the Willard, and so there's a lot of you have a lot of like black sedans, black Suburbans. A lot of these are like cars that are limo services, or Uber, and they're all parked there in front. And it kind of made me think about, hey, what's going on in Rhineland? It made me think about like how everything was abandoned in the Division 2. And I'm walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. I'm like, oh my god, like, I'd run into a group of hyenas or something. I think they were called. One of the protagonists groups in the Division 2. And what's up, Warriors? Gears is for tears. Okay. But I'm walking down the street and I'm sitting there thinking, like, oh my god, like this is where I had my first engagement in the Division 2. And I'm looking around and I'm thinking about, that apocalyptic Washington D.C. And here I am walking in the live version of, in the real Washington D.C., walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, and I'm just like shocked. I'm like, wow, what's going on here? I couldn't believe it. And it was just amazing to see it, like Freedom Plaza and Trump International Hotel, and some of the buildings that are there. And it was just Ubisoft did a really good job mapping the city, mapping Washington D.C. It was really pretty much a 1-to-1. With what they showed in the game and in the city as well. So just something I was thinking about today before we took part of this walk, or this 5K or whatever it was run. So anyhow, back to NPD. I want to back the truck up here a little bit. So like I said earlier, let's have an honest conversation about Gears 5. So for the month of September, Gears 5 came in at number 7. So it was the 7th best-selling title of the month. And now, granted, it went up against NBA 2K, Borderlands 3, the much-anticipated Borderlands 3. And it actually finished number 3 on the Xbox platform. So it came in... Borderlands 3, I think I think Borderlands 3 was 2, and NBA 2K was number 1 on the NPD the top three games for the Xbox platform specifically. So again, Gears 5 was number 3 specific to the Xbox platform for the month of September. Now, that does not include Steam sales, so the game did release on Steam. God, that blows my mind. Who would ever thought that we would see... I mean, seriously, who would ever thought we would have seen the day that a Microsoft exclusive, Xbox exclusive, would be sold on the Steam store? If you would have told me that 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. But it shows you anything is possible, I guess, in the gaming industry. So... So here we are. And, immediately everyone's kind of thinking, well, you know what happened. There was a mad dash. NPD came out. Everyone's immediately talking about Gears 5. Did it flop? Did GamePass, was there a negative impact of GamePass? Did Microsoft lose revenue? Could have they made more money with, brought in more revenue if they sold it at $60 a pop? Did Gears 5 flop? Is it a flop? Well, some people said it's a flop. I heard some people say, hey, you know what? This is the worst performing Gears on NPD since the original trilogy came out, where all those games were like number 1 on NPD. I don't know. I haven't gone far back enough to look back at Gears 1, 2, and 3 and how they performed on NPD. But I heard people saying that in fact that this was the worst performing Gears for NPD, not just for the month, but for the platform the Xbox platform for that NPD month. So I saw that, and then I saw other people say, "Hey, this is a win for Microsoft. This shows you that Microsoft is, they've already told us they're changing the course. They're not reporting sales anymore. It's all about user engagement, growing, subscriptions, stuff like that, and that the game was therefore successful." I think a lot of that has to do with, there's an article by Game Industry Biz that came out that talked about there was a positive correlation between an increased number of sales or games that were on Game Pass. Now, we talked about this before. If you have listened to other previous Braps, we've had Matt Piscatello on from NPD. We talked about that. Matt even talked about it. Say there's a positive correlation between games that are on Game Pass and driving up engagement, and therefore people going out and buying that game that they had tried out. The Microsoft also said that gamers were playing more games. Warrior says no more user engagement either anymore. Now it's growth percentage. That's right, Warrior. That's right. So they're not talking about user engagement anymore. They're just talking about growth percentage, which I think can be a little. I don't think growth percentage is really giving us, the devil's in the details. Growth percentage isn't going to give us a lot of insight into, how many new Game Pass subscribers they got. So Ryan Landis says, even if it wasn't a flop, the fact that Microsoft is so mysterious about real numbers on hardware and software is not a good look for any of the developers. Yeah, man, I hear that. I think that's something that when they decided to change their reporting, I think a lot of people sort of, I guess, took issue with that or raised that question up that, hey, you know what? Wait a minute, like what's going on here? Why is it that they're now changing how they report? Why is it that they're changing how they report? Their numbers now. So, they're never going to give us that detail. And I always say the devil's in the details. And so, we don't know. Like, I think people took that game biz industry article, kind of ran with it a little bit, where it's saying that, people that signed up for Game Pass were trying games that would have never tried before. And it's like, okay, yeah, anytime you get a streaming service. Look, I have Netflix. There's probably shows on Netflix that I would never probably pay to watch, that I watch them just out of curiosity because it's free. What do I have to lose? What do I have to lose if it's free? I don't have anything to lose. So that's natural. I don't think it's anything that I would ride home to the bank about and say, oh, look, these gamers are trying free games. It's like, yeah, okay, you would assume that was going to be happen anyway because these games are in a service and these games are free to try. Like, you're not paying $30, $40 to buy a game. You're paying, $14 a month, or if you took advantage like I did, $1, now you're locked in for 2, 3, 4 years. You're going to try these games. You're going to see, what they're about. And that's not a bad thing. I think it's going to benefit a lot of these smaller development studios. Some of the the indie developers, who don't have those big marketing budgets to get the word out in the street about their games, and it's going to be a good platform for those smaller studios to drive up engagement in some of the games that they're working on, which I think is a tremendous benefit for these smaller studios. So, but I will say this: I was curious because I saw kind of the back and forth on Twitter, which, look, I don't think anyone was surprised by that. That there was so much back and forth and debate and whatnot. I saw the you guys said it wouldn't sell because it was $1 and blah blah blah, and it charted 7. 7's good. Look, I can see both sides. Look, 7 is good. 7's fine. 7's good. It cracked the top 10. Now I went back and I looked at, because I was curious. I went back and looked at the numbers, the NPD numbers for Gears of War 4 before they changed it to just Gears, which I thought's dumb. I just call it Gears of War 5. So I noticed that Wait a sec here, guys. I gotta adjust my mic settings here. All right, so I noticed that what's going on, Glorious War? I noticed that going back to NPD, and I just want to preface this a little bit. 2016 NPD for the month of October, because Gears of War 4 released in that month of October. The two big releases for that month were Battlefield 1 and Mafia 3, okay? NBA 2K had released the month before. And by the way, I saw people say, "Oh, Gears 5 charted 7, it beat Madden or something." Or I don't know if they were talking about the, how it fared on the Xbox platform, NPD. But anyhow, I did see someone say, "Oh, well, it beat Madden." I'm like, okay, but Madden released in August. Like, we're in October now. Football season's about 6 weeks in. It's not a really apples and apples thing. It's not apples. It's not a comparison that I would use, because typically games around that 60, 90 day mark tend to decline anyway, unless it's Grand Theft Auto 5. Glorious War says, I think Gears 5 is a flop because the game debuted lower than Gears 4 and game development costs hasn't gone down. So here's the thing, man, and I get that argument, but Microsoft doesn't care about selling us Gears 5. The physical copy or the digital copy. What they care about, and this has been communicated, to people who I know interact with Phil and the team there, that they don't care about selling the physical disc or digital downloads or whatever the case is. They care about selling GamePass subscriptions. So, going back to 2016, so let's think about 2016, 3 years ago, Gears of War 4 releases, okay? Some guy says, I enjoyed Gears 5, I don't care about the numbers. Yeah, no, I did. I enjoyed it too. I think the purpose of the discussion that we're having here is just because it's a hot topic in the gaming community, and if you've been following BRAP, we talk about everything gaming and things related to the community of gaming. So this has kind of been like a hot button issue in the community. So we're looking at Gears of War 4. Let's go back to 2016. We have a smaller install base of Xbox Ones in the market. NPD at that time is not including digital sales of games. They do that now. So Gears 5, the NPD numbers came from physical and digital sales, but did not include Steam. 2016, you have a smaller install base of Xbox Ones, and NPD is only including physical sales. So we don't know how Gears of War 4 did when you include digital sales on the Xbox One console. So for that month of October 2016, and again, the big third-party releases for that month were Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2 actually as well. So you have Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and Mafia 3. Those were the big three releases for the for that month of October 2016. That's who Gears of War 4 was competing against. All right. So we have a smaller user base, smaller install base of Xboxes out in the wild, in the marketplace. We have these three big titles. NBA 2K had released the month before. And NPD is not including digital. So for that month of October 2016, Gears of War 4 was the third best-selling game for the month of October 2016. Physical sales only, all right? Smaller install base, and up against Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2, and Mafia 3, and NBA 2K again about a month into release. So NBA was still charting top 10 for the month of October, still selling very strong. On the Xbox platform for the month of October 2016, Gears of War 4 was the number one selling game on the Xbox One platform. Fast forward to, again, this 2019, Gears 5, number 7 for the month, and number 3 for the month on the Xbox. Now, I don't think it takes a rocket science, guys, or a rocket scientist. God, I'm so tired, it's ridiculous. I don't think it takes a rocket science to see that potentially, guys, there is some correlation here between the performance of this game, that there's a decline in performance, if you will, in Gears 4, Gears 5 versus Gears 4. And again, I'm not saying this is a bad thing and that Gears 5 is doomed, that it flopped. I'm sure it did. Look, it sold well. It charted, NPD, top 10. That's saying something. But I do think there's an impact here. I mean, the game was able to sell more to a smaller install base in 2016 and was a top-selling title for the Xbox platform in 2016. Now it's number 3, and I get it. I know NBA 2K. You guys go, oh, Enrico, NBA 2K. What about Borderlands 3? I get that. Okay? I get that. But there's definitely what I would call the impact of Game Pass. Where says, geez, wake the hell up. Man, dude, I am so tired, man. There's that... I think there's an impact here. I think that Game Pass, and who knows, we don't know what the number is, how many people, at least I haven't seen any numbers with regards to Game Pass, how many people are actually playing Gears through Game Pass. I'd be interested to see that. So, I think definitely there's the Game Pass effect there. Game Pass, I think, potentially impacted the sales, physical and digital retail sales of Gears 5, because remember, the game released day and date for free. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, you were getting that game a week before release. And even our good friend Matt Pastel at NPD was kind of we knew about the correlation of engagement with games that had after retail release had gone into Game Pass. We knew about that. What we didn't know was what the impact was going to be like for a game a AAA game, first party game, that's day and date, that releases a week before retail. And I think we're seeing the impact of that. Now, whether or not that is good or bad, only Microsoft knows that, but I think it's safe to say they are really pushing Game Pass. That is the focal point for them. They don't care about, selling Worrywart, a physical copy of Gears 5. They don't care about selling Glorious War, a digital copy of Gears 5. They want to lock you into that ecosystem. They want you to subscribe to Game Pass. And look, I get the argument of, they sold less. So that game potentially generated less revenue for Microsoft than Gears of War 4 did. I get that argument too. But I've also seen people say, hey, you know what? Glorious War says Days Gone sold more than Gears. That's mind-blowing. Yeah, I mean, but Glorious, I think that's the impact of Game Pass. That's the impact. And, I would be interested in knowing if what the definition of a successful, first party game is for Microsoft now. Did Gears 5 yield, as Worry said, now they count, percentage of growth. Did it yield a 50%, increase in growth for subscriptions for Game Pass? Did it do that? How much money are they? How much additional revenue are they generating now from these new subscriptions? Because I think that's the thing that I want to know. Glorious War says depends on the cost of making the game. I got to be honest with you, man. I think they are trying, like Netflix, they are trying to make up the lost revenue in traditional retail routes with subscriptions. It's that model, and I've seen this in consulting where you if you have 100 consultants engaged on a project, typically the margins are going to be slimmer, meaning what the bill rate versus what you pay the candidate. Those margins are going to be smaller, probably like 30-35%, but you'll take that because you have 100 people billing, and so what you're lacking in margins per se, you're making up in headcount. And I think that's again, I don't know for sure, guys. This is just my speculation, if you will. This is what I think they're trying to do. They're trying to offset the cost of development and the potential loss of that $60 retail price, or that money that's being driven by $60, that $60 price point, by getting new subscriptions in, by and I think that's going to be interesting to see how that potentially works out for them. Look, guys, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying Microsoft is doomed, but obviously people that are Microsoft fans are going to say that, oh, hey, you know what, this is great because, and they're going to agree with Microsoft because anything Microsoft does for them is great. It's pie in the sky. I'm not one that's loyal to one company, unlike Worrywart, who's loyal to Apple. Glorious War says Sea of Thieves needs to only sell 1 million copies to probably make its money back. Game like Gears needs to sell like 3 million to be even. I think they talked about 3 million players on the first weekend of Gears. I mean, but I guess Warrior says, say it. It's interesting because I remember them talking about that 3 million gamers that played Gears 5, I think the first weekend or week or whatever it was, that it released. And where he says, but yes, I'm self-aware. That's a worry. That's a good point. A lot of these guys are not self-aware. They'll tell you, oh, I'm not a fanboy. And then, they'll get triggered when you say something negative about their console of choice. Glorious War says, Huge One said that a AAA single player game needs to be sell 3 million to 5 million copies sold to be viable. The 3 to 5 million point, the 3 to 5 million copies sold is actually a break-even point for a lot of first-party games, big first-party AAA games. I know Phil's gone out and said about 5 million is kind of the break-even point. You guys remember like 17 years ago, if you sold 1 million games, it was kind of like a big deal. A million's not even a big deal anymore. You got like games like God of War and Uncharted 4 that have sold 10 plus million. Spider-Man on PlayStation has sold like 16 million or something like that. Maybe more, I think. I don't know. But it's interesting. Like this whole thing, the way the industry's changing with with way Microsoft's reporting and their emphasis on streaming and this service called GamePass. It's fascinating. I don't know. Who knows how this is going to play out for Microsoft? I don't think anyone really knows. I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, this is great. They're going to make a lot of money." Who knows? Who knows? I mean, I do question the sustainability of, spending $100 and something million to develop a game, and now you need to make that revenue back up. How long can they do that? I mean, what if people don't subscribe? I mean, and here's the thing with Game Pass. They have to sell more consoles to get more people to buy into Game Pass. Again, guys, this isn't a knock on Microsoft. It's crazy. It's crazy that I even have to say this. I'm not knocking Microsoft. I'm not saying they're doomed. I'm just asking a question. because this is so new. I've never seen anything like this in my 37 years of gaming. This is totally new. This model is new. Glory says, Glory Sports says Japanese AAA games cost less to make than Western ones. That's interesting. Okay. Well, then I guess I could see that 3 million potentially. Maybe 3 million is the breaking point for big AAA games coming out of Japan. So this is really interesting. I mean, this is the first party AAA game from Microsoft that's released day and date. And look, the facts are there that the game, at least from how based on retail sales, has sold less than Gears 4. Now, look, guys, I'm not saying that's a good, bad thing. I know people, what's still charted top 7? No, I'm not doing that here. I'm just pointing out the facts. The facts of the matter is that Gears of War 5 sold less than Gears of War 4. And we could probably make the assumption, connect the dots, if you will, that maybe some of that decline in retail sales has to do with Game Pass. I think everybody would agree with that. I don't know if you don't agree with that, I don't know what to tell you, but it seems like the most logical assumption to make here. Where it says Game Pass has to go to other places than Xbox, PC, is the hardware doesn't sell much better. Next gen xCloud app on iOS, Android, tablets will be a start. Dude, I agree with that, Worry. Like, they have to look. If they want to, I think if they want to sustain this, if they want to be able to build and create big AAA, bangers as we call them, and they're going to take a hit in traditional retail sales because they're basically, giving the game away in a streaming service. They're going to have to expand, get more people into that to kind of offset that loss from the lack of retail sales. So where you're right, I mean, they have to grow that pie. And the only way they do that is by selling more Xbox One consoles, getting Xbox Game Pass on other devices. I think the biggest reason why Game Pass is on PC is so they can get more people in. They get more revenue coming in, more subscriptions. That's what they're banking on. You notice how Netflix is like on every device. Netflix is on your phone. Netflix is on your tablet. Netflix is on your PC. Netflix is on your television. That's not by accident. Tiger King says, "How do you know you don't have the numbers to compare them? Do you? What do you Tiger? What are you referring to? Are you referring to what I said about the fact that Gears 5 sold less than Gears 4 in its first release month? Because you're saying if I don't have the numbers, I don't have the exact numbers, but I have NPD to tell me that Gears of War 4 for its opening release month of October 2016 was the third best selling game for the month of October 2016 and was the number one selling game for the Xbox platform on October 2016. And if you compare that to Gears 5, I think slipping from number 3 to number 7 clearly is an indication of a potential. It's an indication of loss of sales. If you look at other NPDs, the previous Gears 1, 2, and 3, those games charted much higher than Gears 5 did. Now, look, this isn't meant to be an argument, Tiger King. Like, I'm not saying Gears 5 sucks. I mean, this is the problem with Pete when you bring up the fact that if you look at NPD for Gears 4 versus NPD for Gears 5, Gears 4 performed better. I mean, that's what NPD reported. This isn't a oh, it flopped. No, I'm not saying that the game flopped. What I am saying is that potentially the game was impacted by Game Pass, and that's why you see it slipping. Now, again, I know NBA 2K was out. I get that. But considering how popular Gears is, I would expect it to be higher for the month of September 2019 than number 7. Tiger King says, how did the number 1 compare? Because NBA 2K is the best-selling game of the year. We know that Borderlands 3 sold millions also. So where do you think Gears 5 is at on that compared to 2016? Look, all I know is that compared to 2016, where he says Gears 5 sold 6 copies physical. Look, all I know is that if you look at Gears 4, NPD 2016, it was the 3rd best-selling game for the month of October, the month that it released in 2016. Gears 4 was also the number 1 selling game on the Xbox platform for the month of October 2016. It went up against Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2. It also had gone up against Mafia 3. NBA 2K had just released 2K17 had just released like 3 weeks before. And on top of that, you had a smaller install base in 2016 of Xbox consoles compared to 2019. The big difference is that you have Game Pass now, 3 years later, where a lot of people were playing Gears 5 a week before the game actually released retail. So there's a lot of us that had that game beat, had played it already before the game had released retail. And by the way, also Tiger King, NPD for 2019 tracks digital sales on the Xbox and physical. Nintendo's the only one that doesn't give digital numbers out. When you see Nintendo chart, you see Nintendo chart and beat out everyone else for like a month, an NPD, that's only physical sales. That's damn impressive. Glorious War says if Xbox sells fewer consoles next gen, Xbox retail presence is going to be small. Yeah, they gotta sell, and if you're talking about growth and offsetting the cost, the development costs, I don't know. Again, I'm not a developer. This is just speculation. I don't know how they make up the revenue they spent. Tiger says, I saw the chart. Only thing didn't count was Steam sales. Yeah, it doesn't count Steam sales. It counted digital, Xbox, and physical retail. But 2016 NPD only included physical sales and did not include digital. So think about that. NPD 2016, Gears of War 4 selling to a smaller install base. And NPD's only reporting physical copies sold of Gears of War 4. And it charted number 3 for the entire month, and then number 1 specifically for the Xbox One platform. And if you were to ask me what's the difference here, Game Pass. And so I'm wondering, like, how, if we think about the traditional model of selling games, it's okay. Hey, well, you know what? You have your development costs for these AAA games, and you make up those costs when you sell these games, when you ship them, basically. Because you've got to remember, retail locations are buying copies of the games, and once that transaction happens, the developer, the publisher, they all get their money at that point. So I know when people say, "Oh, well, PlayStation 4 only shipped X amount of consoles," that doesn't count. No, it counts because basically Sony has their money already. They made revenue off PlayStation 4. At that point, it's inconsequential whether or not the retailer sells out all those PlayStation 4s. It just isn't. If you look at it from a revenue perspective, so. Tiger says yes. Game Pass has really changed all metrics for Xbox. Yeah, I mean it has. I mean even how they're reporting it. I mean that's we talked about that earlier. Glory says Enrique, the metrics don't lie. Yeah, the thing is and I'm not going to say it's a flop because what we don't know is how many people played the game on Game Pass. How many people spent money on microtransactions? How many new subscribers did the release of Gears 5 bring into Game Pass? I think that's how you look at whether or not that game was successful for Microsoft, is not just the physical and digital retail sales of that game, but did it drive new customers? Did it drive new traffic into Game Pass? Did people subscribe now that weren't subscribed to Game Pass? Were people who were maybe trying it for 2 weeks or whatever the case is? Yeah, do they decide to kind of subscribe for a year now or whatever the case is? I think those numbers would be telling. Corey Dillon says Game Pass shouldn't be an excuse for a game selling poorly. I wish these fanboys would realize that if Gears 5 was really tearing it up on Game Pass, Microsoft wouldn't shut up about it. Yeah, I mean, there's that, but again, Microsoft is not reporting anything other than, as Wari said earlier, percentage of growth. That's it. So we don't have any real insight into how this has impacted them. Tiger King says, I guess the real question people have been asking is how does Game Pass divide money, let alone for first-party studios? They're still showing Gears 5 commercials and with Game Pass Ultimate. That's a great question, man. I mean, there's obviously some people that are really excited about Game Pass in the gaming industry, but I've also heard from other developers that aren't necessarily on board with it. I can tell you that I don't think Sony nor Nintendo are going to have PlayStation Now is more like Game Pass is today, but I don't see Sony, and I'm not saying that it will never happen. I don't see it happening right now. I don't see it happening in the near future where Sony's going to release their first-party games day and date on PlayStation Now. I just don't see that happening right now. Glorious Wars says that YouTube views and search results were down compared to other Gears games. And I wonder if, and again, I didn't know that, but I wonder if that had to do with them just showing multiplayer, not showing what we were asking for, campaign footage. Tiger King says they are still putting money for ads for Gears 5. I don't remember Gears 4 having ads on TV after its release, so it must be doing something for them. No, Gears 4 had advertisement too. They definitely had some advertisement. But it's going to be interesting. Who knows how this is going to play out? I don't think no one really knows other than Microsoft. Microsoft has the financials. They know what's going on internally. Clearly, they feel like this is working for them. But I still think it's too early to say that that Game Pass is a huge success, because I think the teller of that is next console generation, for them at least. I mean, these new studios, and the AAA games that some of these studios are working on, is Microsoft going to be losing money by potentially losing retail sales, or are they going to be able to make it up with new Game Pass subscriptions? That's the $1 million question I have. Corey says, what Gears 5 ads? There's a lot of Gears 5 ads. I see them a lot on Sundays during football games. That's typically when I see a lot of them. And during like WWE shows and stuff. Glorious Wars says YouTube views are a good metric for general interest in games. That's why New Days Gone wasn't going to flop. Yeah, I've never been one to really follow YouTube views as a metric. But that's interesting. That's good to know. Buck Rogers says, too many good games have been dropping. Oh, Tiger King. I was watching Gold Rush last night. It's actually a pretty damn good show. Surprise. Yeah, so this is going to be interesting. We are going to learn more in the future, in the near future, I should say, how this potentially pans out for them. All I know, the only thing I know for a fact is that Gears 5, according to NPD, underperformed Gears 4. Now, how much of that was Game Pass, NBA 2K, who knows? But I really think that Game Pass had the biggest impact. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing for Microsoft. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I don't know how that's going to impact them being able to be profitable, making big AAA $100 million games. How do they recoup that money back? You know, and now you're probably asking, well, why do you care, Enrique? You know, you should just game, man. No, dude, honestly, at the end of the day, none of this really affects me, but it's an interesting conversation piece because I love everything about this industry. The business side, the gaming side, I just love it. And that's why I enjoy talking about these things. Buck Rogers says, I've been buying up more AA and indie games because they just feel more fresh and have less bugs. It's a good point, man. It's a great point. Couch Gaming says, is there any concern about how games are made going forward, knowing that they will be launching in Game Pass? I'm speaking in terms of monetization. Gears 5 is monetized like a free-to-play game. You know, I didn't say this earlier, but you know, outside of driving Game Pass subscriptions, the logical thing for Microsoft to do would be to include games in their first-party games with that have some kind of sort of microtransaction or monetization, because that's going to help offset development costs. I mean, we've heard about, excuse me, we've heard other developers talk about this, how, you know, they'll make a game and they'll monetize it to help with the offsetting of development cost. Excuse me. Because the cost of those games, development for those games have gone up. So that's, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if we see more monetization in Microsoft first party, and who could blame them? I mean, you got to make up that money somehow. If Game Pass isn't making the money up for you in terms of subscriptions, where else do you get that money from? Tiger King says they'll be only making a few $100 million games at a time. Most will not need that kind of money. Halo Infinite costs as much as it does due to development of the Slipspace engine. Yeah, I mean, you know, I've heard people say that concern for them is that maybe Microsoft is going to focus on more AA titles because those are cheaper to make. And there's been some good examples of AA games like that have come out recently. Warrior Word says ads. Warrior, you think they're going to incorporate ads? Can you imagine? Oh my goodness. Mogwee says platform holders make passive revenue for third-party game sales. That's why Sony can afford to make God of War and not monetize it. Well, Sony also sells a lot of consoles. They also generate a lot of revenue from, you know, PlayStation Plus. The real Coolito says, I wouldn't consider Gears 5 a flop, but you'd be blind if you didn't see the numbers are down. Mogwee says, I understand Ubi and non-first party devs have to do this, but not platform holders. Look, I mean, Mog, if it changes where they need to do it, they're going to do it. If they got to make money at the end of the day. Everyone talks about, oh, Microsoft's got billions of dollars. They do, but Xbox division doesn't have the open coffer to. They don't have the ability to raid that chest of money, that war chest that Microsoft has. You know. Ryan Lander says instead of a AAA, I picked up the Genesis Mini classic game, still fun, but they were kinder to young Ryan. They kick old Ryan's ass. Yeah, man, I was playing Ghosts and Goblins the other day, and that game still kind of kicks my ass a little bit. Buck Rogers says that actually might be a real thing. I think in response to the ray tracing and ads on tracks and cars. No, I mean, is that something you? I don't see that. I mean, who knows? You never know these days. I mean, we might see that shit happen. Never say never. Buck thinks Sega did that a long time ago. Really? I don't remember Sega doing that. Maybe they did. Who knows? Maybe they did. Guys, we're definitely going to talk more about this this Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with the rest of the Brad panel. I just kind of wanted to go in a quick rant because I thought this whole Gears thing is kind of fascinating how it's kind of played out, and I definitely think there's something to be said with the impact of Game Pass day and date to potentially lowering the retail sales for Gears 5. But yeah, we'll definitely talk about this more in depth. I think on Wednesday. I want to get the rest of the panel members their opinions on Gears 5. Warrior says PlayStation 5 ads on Scarlet dashboard. Oh my goodness. Warrior, you need to come to the dark side. Come to the dark side, Warrior. Join the Android family, young Jedi. Come to the dark side, Warrior. Join the androids. Be a droid, dude. You're already a bot. Be a droid. Yeah, I mean, look, Buck. No one's arguing the quality of Gears 5. I think it's a damn good game. I reviewed it, gave it an 8.5. I got shit for that, by the way. Oh, why'd you give it a 9, Enrique? Because I felt like the game had pacing issues, and it had some bugs and stuff. Yes, join the PC Master Race. Join it now, young Skywalker. Glorious Warrior says, do you think the power narrative matters next gen? No. I think to fanboys it probably matters. I don't care. I have a PC, Rick. I have Scarlet already. We got an RTX 2070, AMD Ryzen 2700X CPU. I'm good. There might be a little bit of that nonsense, that chatter about power, but I think mostly from fanboys. I think really, honestly, guys, I think my understanding is that these consoles are going to be the PlayStation 5. From my understanding, from what I've heard from somebody who makes video games, is that it's slightly more powerful. But at the end of the day, these games are based on, or not these games. The hardware is based on the hardware and architecture is still the same. Still the same. So, I don't. There is going to be a slight power advantage, but it's not going to be like this massive power advantage that Sony is going to have over Microsoft. There's a slight power advantage from my understanding, but you never know. I mean, those things could change too. I mean, there's things that Microsoft could do to maybe upclock CPU or whatever, and who knows? I mean, they could probably tinker, tweak some things. But my understanding is that the PlayStation 5 is just slightly more powerful, but not enough where it's going to make a huge impact where you're going to see like this tremendous difference between games that run on PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Scarlet. Glorious. The sand level slowdown. Yeah, the pace of that killed it for me, man. It didn't kill me. It just it was kind of like this game started off so good. Why, I mean, I appreciate they were trying to incorporate some new things, but even some of the side missions just didn't really feel like they connected with me in the overall story arc for the game. Country Gentleman says Gears 5 did well out of the gate, but it's a 8 for me. If they have a problem with player retention, they may have a problem with player retention going forward. I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say that player engagement's down on that game. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, the $20 skins is a freaking joke. They would sell more if it was a dollar. Yeah, that's a little egregious. I agree with that. But that might be something they instituted to offset the development costs by throwing it in Game Pass, Buck. Maybe that's why you see those $20 skins, man. Yes, Talos, I got to hit you up for some Destiny, man. I'm sorry, man. I've been playing a little bit of Iron Banner, but we definitely need to run some Destiny 2 soon. What's up, Eternal Shaddai? Warrior says there will be a tremendous difference in the way first-party games look. That's the difference. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I could see that, Warrior. I mean, you look at what Sony's first-party has done with, even vanilla PlayStation. I mean, those games look awesome. There's something to be said about the talent over at Sony first-party studio. Ryan says, hey, maybe Microsoft will add a microtransaction pass. All the microtransactions you want for a low monthly fee. Oh, man. Dude, don't give them any ideas, Ryan. Come on, man. Don't say that. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. Corey says Corey Dillon says the average consumer doesn't care about vapor chamber cooling. I don't know if he was saying that they care, Corey. I think he was just saying that's something they could add. Abaca72 says, what do you think about Outer Worlds? All right, Outer Worlds. It looks cool. I mean, definitely Fallout vibes. Some things I've noticed with the game, the shooting mechanics seem about on par with Fallout 4, maybe slightly better. I noticed that the melee combat looks kind of ineffective. But I think that the world looks beautiful. Like the world, the set pieces, the dialogue, what is it? The not personality rating, but your character rating based on decisions you make. Very similar to KOTOR. Yeah, I mean it looks cool. I mean I'm gonna get it on Game Pass, but on PC. The PC requirements aren't really demanding for that game, oddly enough. But I mean, it looks like a Fallout game. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Obsidian's made some really good games. Remember Fallout Vegas. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm going to check out. I mean, by the way, I want to give a big shout out to a couple gentlemen here. This week I didn't get into, even though Microsoft sent me an email wanting to verify that my T-Mobile account, I did not get into the Project xCloud beta. But other than that, I actually had a pretty good week in terms of winning some giveaways. So I want to give a big shout out to Saltiest Gaming. Big shout out to Saltiest Gaming. He actually was giving away a PC code for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I won. So, hey, big shout, Salty. Seriously, man, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, man. I really appreciate it. Big shout out to Salty for that giveaway. But I also won another giveaway earlier in the week. Ansley Bowden, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's the founder and editor-in-chief at SeasonedGaming.com. You should definitely check out their site as well for gaming-related news. He was doing a giveaway for the new Modern Warfare Call of Duty poster, and I won. So, yeah, so it's awesome. Been an awesome week for me in terms of winning stuff. So I appreciate it, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Eternal Shaddai says, Ricky, let me ask you something. Which one is more important, game sales or player count? Because if I'm not mistaken, people buy games to play, but others let their games borrow. That's a great question, man. I think at this point it depends on who you are. If you're Microsoft, you care more about player count and engagement. If you're Sony, you probably care more about game sales. Same with Nintendo. I mean, that's, I think that's just how, that's the shift that we're seeing. Thank you guys. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that, man. Couch Game wants to know, Enrique, are you still getting Stadia? I don't know, man. Kind of on the fence. Want to see how it performs for other people that are getting it. But I'm on the fence. Look, there is something out there called packet loss, and that could potentially kill your Stadia experience. So I'm gonna wait and see. I'm not sure. I was thinking that it was gonna be something like a Netflix type service, but it's not. Basically, you're still buying games, but just streaming them. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I do hope they get in the to the Project X Cloud beta, because I definitely want to try that out. Looks super awesome from some of the feedback that I've been seeing from people. So I hopefully I get in. Got my fingers crossed. Eternal Shaddai says, Enrique, Sony just changed their tactics now too. Players count. Yeah, but Sony's still talking about games sold and console sales. I mean, so they're just including that on top of what they're already reporting. So I mean, they haven't completely changed their tactics. They just added something in addition to whatever they're reporting. So I wouldn't equate that as the same as Microsoft, which has changed how they report things on different occasions this console gen. I think they've changed their reporting metrics is like three times maybe, I think Microsoft has, but yeah, I mean this is on, and I saw people making, look at Sony's doing user engagement now. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't think it's a big deal. They're still, I don't think it's a big deal because they're still reporting. They're still being more transparent with regards to console sales, and how well their games sell in terms of retail numbers. I will say this, guys. I think one of the reasons why Microsoft maybe had switched their reporting, I can tell you that, and this was leaked to me, that for the month of July, I believe, Microsoft only sold 37,000 Xbox One consoles. Sony sold 173,000 for that month of July, and Nintendo sold 184,000. So look at that disparity there between the Xbox, Sony, and Nintendo. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. Again, guys, I'm not saying that they're doomed, they suck. I'm just pointing out some facts here that with regards to how those consoles did the month of July, and then maybe concluding that maybe that has something to do with some of the why they've changed some of the way they report metrics. Taos wants to know, Enrique, what do you think or hope they'll show in XO19? Oh man, a new AAA IP, but that's not going to happen. I'm not expecting much. I think they'll announce another studio acquisition, from what I heard, but I'm not expecting much. Oh yeah, that's right. Glorious War. Xbox is not giving player accounts anymore either. Yeah, you're right. Do I think do you want to respond? Do I think Quantum Break will ever get a sequel? No, I don't see that game ever getting a sequel again. If that game gets a sequel before Alan Wake, that is a crime, Because I'd rather see a sequel to Alan Wake than Quantum Break any day, any day. So. All right, guys, I gotta go ahead and wrap up this BRAP rant. I appreciate everyone coming by to hang out. Appreciate the support, guys, as always. Remember, like, subscribe, and obey. Stole that from Borderlands 3. No, seriously, hit that like button. And remember, guys, we are going to be talking a little bit more about the NPD Gears 5 numbers on Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're gonna have a very special guest joining us, a returning guest joining us. I'll make that announcement later on next week, early next week. So you definitely don't want to miss Wednesday's show. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to shoot the shit with the rest of the Brat panel and our special returning guests. So everyone, enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening. Maybe get some gaming in. I know I'm going to at some point this evening. But other than that, everyone, take care. We'll see you guys next time, next Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.